me say a special good morning to our viewing and listening audience. Good morning, those of you listening via Classic 105.5 and Classic 105.9, whatever part of the island on the mainland Grenada and also in our sister isles of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Good morning and welcome to another edition of To The Point. I'm your host, GT. I'll be with you for the next hour. Let me say good morning to our social media audience also. Those of you via our Facebook page, YouTube channels, good morning. Those of you via GBN's webpage, gbn.gd, good morning and welcome to another edition of To The Point. On Thursdays, you know we do entertain the various departments within the Royal Grenada Police Force. This one we do have the, Community Relations Department. Yeah, my bad at that. Community Relations Department. And let me go over and say good morning to Corporal McLean and Mr. U.S. Richards. I hope I'm getting his name right. Good morning to both of you and welcome to The Point this morning.
Good morning, and I would like to say good morning to Grenada, the diaspora, and wherever you are in this Spice Isle. But I would also like to take the opportunity to express sympathy to the GBN family. And I think that is in order.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Corporal McLean, good morning.
Good morning, GT. It's a pleasure to be back here once more. And it is even a greater pleasure to have Mr. Ernest Richardson, the Truancy officer within the Ministry of Education, with us this morning to speak on the issue of truancy and youth delinquency.
All right. As you mentioned, that will be our topic of focus this morning, truancy and youth delinquency. And to get the ball rolling, I don't know if Mr. Richardson could tap into that. If someone is to ask a question, truancy, what does that actually mean from your department?
Truancy is actually delinquent children remaining home from school without no good reason. They're just at home and not attending school when they should be in school. But even nowadays on the secondary school compound, we have children that are truant because they come to the school but they do not attend class. So they loiter around, just being around the school but not in class.
Truancy, how would you say in terms of where do we experience it most? Between the primary or secondary level of education? Where we experience it the most?
You would find it in both levels, both at the primary and the secondary. Some is because of delinquent parents and also because of delinquent children themselves. We have also a major problem as it relates to economic hardship. Yes, on some parents, and they cannot meet the needs to get the children to school, but the government have certain programs in place. You have the seed program. You have some principals, they do have breakfast program, lunch program, and even dinner program. So there should not be any reason why a child should be at home.
But you actually just stated some of the cause that you may think will be the reason or reasons why children delinquent when they go to school or the truancy per se.
Yes.
You understand? And you said, could be the various programs that are available, maybe they're not getting it, or maybe parents being, delinquent themselves as a parent.
Yes.
Now tell me, how much of an issue is truancy in Grenada from your point of view?
Yes, it's a big issue, especially in certain pockets in the country. We have truancy in days gone by. It was more or less linked to agricultural communities where children would just stay home and go to the garden and thing. But now it's a whole different scenario. You would have places like Grandans, the Valley, where children might just go and hang out on Grandans Beach and things like that. Yeah, so it's a whole different scenario at present.
You specified one particular part of the island.
Yes.
You focus more on the St. George's part of the island. But in terms of Grenada as a whole, inclusive of our sister isles.
No, I just give you an example. I'm not saying.
Some folks may take it a little bit ticklish in terms of Grandans, all the children.
Well, we have some issues in the Montu, Grandans Valley area, okay, and it is because of. You see, when persons come from the country, they set up this kind of, what we would say, living conditions, squattering and things like that. Then you would have some of these problems. If you go to Simon's area, okay, just behind the
Baghdad.
Baghdad. You have some of these problems there also. So these are things that come with these communities.
All right.
Normally also officers before me, they would tell you about some families, and these families, they are still at present giving trouble. So it actually has to do with a vicious circle, and also what I would say, because of the emphasis that certain family placed on education. So if they in turn meet up with someone else that do not value education, then you see where we are going.
So you think my children shouldn't be educated themselves? So you're not worried about sending them to school?
Yeah, they're not worrying about that.
How does the process go about in dealing with a matter of that nature?
Okay.
Especially when you, let's say, how is the problem? That's what the police would come in and how is it reported? Or how does the ministry find out? Well, we having issues with a certain amount of children there where they're not attending school, and how does this go? How does this matter get attended to?
All right, the process is simple. School attendant officers, we have jurisdiction over the register, the school register. We'll go to the school register and we'll look at the attendance. From that, we would be able to select some children that we notice are not coming, they are not coming frequently enough, or just not coming at all. And we would go out into the field, we see what the problem entails, and we try to remedy the situation. So if it is uniform, we remedy that. If it is books, if it is, let's say they need lunch money, they need anything that we see that is the problem, we would try to see how we would rectify that. We also would tap into corporate citizens, and they in turn would supply us with certain things, and we would get it to these parents and ensure that these children attend school. If upon that we notice that they are still giving problem, then we'll accompany the police, take the police with us to show a little more force, and see how we could get the parents to comply. If all these things fail, then our last resort would be going to court. Now, the Education Act says that a parent who fails to send the children to school after all these things is provided, they can be in prison for 3 months or pay a fine of $1,000, or the magistrate could say both, or the magistrate might give them put them on a bond, and we would see what takes place there.
All right. Now let me be specific now to of course Corporal McLean. Where does the police fits into this in terms of the law? What the law states pertaining to truancy?
Okay, so Mr. Richardson spoke to it in terms of what the law speaks to, but in terms of the police approach, the police does a wide range of initiatives. We have our weekly school visits. From the community relations end, for example, we do school visits 3 times a week. The purpose of these visits is to ensure that we have a understanding as to what is happening at the schools, if there are any delinquent behaviors, and how we can come in to assist students or even the teachers who may be having challenges with them. From time to time, as Mr. Richardson said, we would call in representatives, whether it's from Ministry of Education or Social Development, depending on what the issue is, to have a solution or to deal with the issue that we face. We also do regular engagements with PTAs. Okay. Although we do not really get the parents that are needed at the PTA meetings.
They don't come out.
They don't come out. You really get the parents of children who aren't really the troublemakers. So we do presentations at PTA meetings. We do our regular visits. We do pop-up checks at schools. We do one-on-one with students. So principals or teachers will reach out to our department or force and have specific requests, have specific needs based on the issue that a child presents. So there are different things that the police, different approaches. Even outside of school, when we have the carnival period and the Christmas period, the police comes up with initiatives. We advise parents through social media or on a one-on-one basis, even programs like these, to educate people on how we can assist our children, how we can keep them safe, and how we can prevent unwanted occurrences from happening to them.
All right. Mr. Richards, I want to ask this. With the amount of schools in Grenada, in terms of the primary and secondary, how does the ministry manage this in terms of the amount of individuals who are able to go wrong and make sure that all these children are going to school? How does it manage? Is there enough in terms of the workforce to manage this?
I must say we have 7 educational districts, and in those districts we have one or more officers working one or more. Mm-hmm. For example, in St. George's, 3 officers. In St. Andrews, 3 officers, and those other parishes.
But do you think that is adequate or that's enough?
Yes, that should be adequate. But at present, because of retirement and things like that, we are somewhat, I would say, hard pressed. But the ministry is doing all in its powers to fill those vacancies.
Tell me, in terms of resolutions to truancy, what is the percentage rate are you experiencing?
Well, what I can say, we do not have tied-down statistics, but it could be in the region of, let's say, 10 to 5%. Yeah. But one child not being in school is a problem, because it takes a community to raise a child. And as the officer say correctly, is a few, what I would say, we can identify some of the problem children and put certain measures in place so that they would not be coming in conflict with the law. Because this delinquency, we can spot them out, we can have intervention. Normally, sometimes we do have case conferences with the police, child protection, school attendant officers, and we discuss certain things that we would put in place so that we can remedy the situation. Even at the various schools, we have our guidance counselors, and they too play a part in, seeing how we can remedy the situation to those at-risk children, I may say.
Now, how does the public fit into this? Let's say I'm living in a particular community and I'm noticing this particular child is not going to school for whatever reason, you understand. Is it okay for me to report that?
Oh, yes.
How is the situation like that dealt with?
All the time. Now, the Grenadian public is, what I would say, very accommodative in that they would call the ministry. The phone number there is 440-2737. We have a department called Student Support Services, and just as the name suggests, that is what it would do.
Offers the support for that.
Offers the support. You call in, you give the place, the area, and the name of the child. When we get there, sometimes we don't say who we get the information from, but we would just say we get it from the register, because we get it from the register also, and we would be able to see how best. We are not coming to intimidate any person, we are coming to see how best we can solve the problem and have the child return to school, because education is the only vehicle that can take out, anyone from poverty. So that's our goal, is to ensure that, and I mean, it's enshrined in the Constitution, the rights of the child. One of these rights is to an education. So why deny yourself of the vehicle that can take you through life?
That's the resistance part of it, especially come to parents, not sending their son or daughter to school, and you visit a home now and you decide to have that conversation with them about the reasons why their son or daughter is not attending school. Has there instances where resistance has played in, where the police had to intervene and stuff like that?
Oh yes. You have some parents that are headstrong, and they think that they should do the thing that way, and
but you could have parents may think, I want to homeschool my son or daughter. Maybe that could be one of the reasons.
I make that reference. I said there's a homeschooling program, I say, but the ministry, you have to go to the ministry. They have to come to see if your place is suitable, if you are qualified to do that, and then they would give you the pass. So I absolutely make it known that that could happen too. So I'm not denying a person of homeschooling a child. That is an option.
All right. But still, I wanted to get a little more, if you could go down in more details, especially coming to the resistance part in terms of parents. I mean, what are some of the experiences that you have incurred during that?
Well, we meet violent parents, and I sometimes, when I meet violent parents, I would seek assistance. I would go now with Corporal Noel and we would see how best we could sort out, because my thing is not violence, and the whole situation is, as I said, the goal is to get the child back to school too. I remember I meet some stiff resistance from one parent. I took that parent to court, and that's the first time in Grenada a school attendant officer took a parent to court. About a couple Saturdays ago, I met the parent and I gave the parent a ride. Because I have no beef with the parent. I am just doing my job. And the parent was very happy because the parent let me know that the child is now in SGU.
Doing better than... Well, he's happy that you intervened.
That's right. He said, Mr. Richardson, I'm happy that you did your work. My child now is in SGU and I'm happy, I'm proud. I say, sir, I have no beef with you. The thing is, I must do my work, and I say you're seeing the results now. No problem.
I understand. Parents would come up with various reasons, maybe for some reason, I'm just not sending my son to school. You gave a lot of reason, people go through different problems in their lives.
Yes.
You understand? It could be the reason they're unemployed. They just can't afford to buy the clothing, supply the books. But you said there are supplies that are issued to them through the ministry and through government as a whole.
Yes.
You understand?
And corporate citizens.
And corporate citizens intervene and offer these assistance. So when it comes around where parents just deem that I just don't want to send my son or daughter to school, what are some of those reasons that they will give?
Well, as you rightly say, some would give financial problems. You have some now that would give religious problems. Yes, they don't think that
church said son must go.
No, they don't think that the children should mix
with others.
Yes, to be what you would say influence into bad tendencies
from other religion.
All of that, and they would give you a number of reasons, But then I let them know also, homeschooling is an option, but you have to get a pass from the Ministry of Education to do that.
All right.
So
we due for a break. Let's take it down. We come back and chat some more, folks. It's to the point for today. It's Thursday, the 11th of May. We're coming right back. Stay with us, folks.
High impact doors and windows can be yours. Now available at Caribbean Shutters Windows and Doors, agents for Domus Windows and Doors. Get custom-made UPVC products with a 20-year warranty on frames and a 5-year warranty on hardware, complete with installation and so much more. Visit our showroom at 11 Frequente Industrial Park, St. George, or call 439-1293, or visit our website at www.domuswindows.com.
Do you know, when you play the games of the National Lotteries Authority, you are supporting sports, culture, and nation building in Grenada, Carriacou, and Titimaknik?
Hi, I am Junior Murray, cricket coach, sports enthusiast, and a former West Indies cricketer. I endorse the games of the NLA 100%. For the past 40 years, the NLA has been funding many sporting activities, including competition for schools and clubs, and for athletes to participate in overseas tournaments such as the Carifta Games and the regional cricket tournaments. Additionally, they made it possible for you, the public, to view local, regional, and international tournaments from the comfort of your homes. For those reasons, I play the game of the NLA. Even if I do not win, I know Grenada always wins.
Yes, when you play all the games, the NLA in turn supports sports, culture, and nation-building activities throughout the Tri-Island state.
Welcome back to our listeners and viewers this morning. It's to the point for today, Thursday, the 11th of May. I have with me this morning Mr. Richards and Corporal McLean with me this morning, and we're talking truancy and youth delinquency. And we're getting into youth delinquency. Let's talk to Corporal McLean in terms of how does the police comes in here in terms of youth delinquents. When he talks about youth delinquents, it varies in terms of children could delinquent in various ways. They could be they could have violent tendencies. They could have, the individuals could be running away. We hear about that all the time. Give us some stats from the Royal Grenada Police standpoint when it comes to delinquency. How prevalent is it in Grenada, I would say?
Okay, so let me first say that there's a link between truancy and youth delinquency, because most of the times what you see happening is the children, they usually end up becoming delinquents, committing offenses, and ending up in conflict with the law, right? So there are a number of things that can happen. It depends on the circumstances, the offenses that they may commit when they become delinquents. Yes. You would have to take them to the magistrate's court if other options are not feasible. So for instance, we will get the Child Protection Authority involved. We will get the truancy officers, the school attendance officers, involved as well. Different sectors of society will get them involved. If it comes to the unfortunate part of the court system where we have to charge some of these minors, some of these youths, the Grand Bacolet Juvenile Facility is one of the other institutions that will step into play. Even recently, we had a situation where some minors were charged for serious offenses, rape, and they were charged and are presently at that facility receiving intervention. Okay. So we work closely and in-depthly with the school attendance officers and also the Child Protection Authority, because the Child Protection Authority has certain powers that they can execute that the police needs to work along with them to ensure that it is done. All right. So.
All right. I understand that, because how you measure it in terms of truancy and delinquency, they could mesh. Yeah. Because individuals not wanting to go to school, your level of education will diminish, and it always leads to where you violence becomes something that you tendency to absorb. I don't know if I'm going in the right direction with it.
Yeah, but as you know, old people have the saying, idle hands is the devil's workshop.
So true.
So that is what would happen when children stay away from school. They have nothing constructive to do, and they would get themselves involved in all other sorts of things.
So are we seeing a lot of that linkages between truancy and delinquent behavior?
Sure.
Yes, we do. Yes.
That's the reason why I told you earlier on, we could point out some children because they are real. They're going straight to that direction. And if the only problem that I have with our system is that to go to the juvenile center, you must commit an offense and the magistrate. But you have some children. Probably what we need is a stopgap, somewhat, I won't say boot camp or whatever, but something.
Intervene early at
that's
early
right.
stage.
We identify them because we see that they are going down that road. Even persons in the community could identify children that need some special intervention, and probably that's where church comes in the church has a part to play, and probably even the community, because there are influential persons in our community that children somewhat look up to, probably our artists, like, let's say, those young and upcoming artists. I see Noonie Sparks and Electrify, they do certain things that, would have a positive impact on children. So you need some of these community persons to somewhat have positive messages that would influence these young minds. And, even the media. The media has a part to play also. The music they play, whatever they can do to influence these children. So we all have a part to play in that.
And what I see at times, sometimes we do the visitations at schools, and some of the issues that are brought to our attention, it's really alarming, GT. And I would want to bring everything back to the home. For instance, there was a particular incident at a particular school where a grandmother advised a child to harm another child with a knife. So when
the grandmother said, go back to the school and do that.
Right. And the child had the knife and was ready to commit that act. So we have instances where the parents themselves encourage the delinquent behaviors. And it is very worrying for us. We take the appropriate action, of course, because we cannot afford to allow these things to get out of control. And when the schools call us in, we have various forms of interventions. Sometimes it may not reach the court system, but we have probably case conferences. We have a police boys club, of course, that caters to some of the children that may be delinquent at times, so we will have them learn certain disciplines and so on through that club. Right. We have other initiatives. For instance, at Broadgrove Police Station, there is a sewing club. It is not necessarily for delinquent children, but we have these things available so that children who may have a tendency to become delinquent, they have other avenues where they can channel their energy instead of being idle, and they get involved in criminal activities or unwanted behaviors.
Okay. Now, the issue of runaway teens in Grenada, we see that something the rate of that has risen a whole lot lately. We see from time to time the police themselves putting out notices of individual. But now, what are some of the reasons that you've been finding out are causes for that in Grenada at the magnitude that has gotten to lately over the last couple of years?
I would venture to say it boils down back to the family. Now, if a family cannot provide food, clothing, shelter, emotional needs, okay, children would want those things.
But what about families that are providing that?
Well, yeah. I mean, you have some things that is not of the norm. But what I'm saying is, generally, these children, we have many single-parent homes, and sometimes the girls that run away, they just missing some fatherly love, and they see love in some other male figure that would take advantage of them. So we need to, what we should say, long ago, you might have a single-parent mother, but in that mother they have the grandfather. And
so they had a bit of an extended family.
A bit of extended family that would cater to some of those needs that the children would really like the emotional needs and things.
Or always go by granny and auntie and
uncle, granddad and them things, And these are some of the things. So it boils back down to family. Now, fathers has a great role to play. Now, a young girl developing, she needs her deodorant, she needs, all the little necessary things that when she go to school, she smell good, she look good, and things like that. Self-image. And you go to the courthouse, you see the amount of ladies there that they want child maintenance. So, I'm making a plea to fathers that they should maintain the child, and some of these problems we would not really have them if fathers do what they have to do. Mother's Day is coming up. shortly, and you see the amount of things that is happening for mothers. So, I mean, I'm not saying that because mothers do everything, they are given a better, but male fathers, I'm appealing to you, don't go to the rum shop and offer this person a drink, and then you can take that same money and buy a 5 pounds of sugar and make the children happy at home.
Well, what about when it comes down to the aspect where children are offered all of that? The father is taking care, mother is taking care. You understand? That youngster just decides what I want to have my own way.
Okay, so I was just about to say that in our local terms, we have some children that just want to have their own way.
Exactly.
Whether they are at home with their parents or whether they are placed in care facilities.
Has all the facilities that they need.
Right. We have children who are placed in state facilities. The state is responsible for your security, for providing all of your needs. And these are some of the children that we have running away the most, wow. Right? So it comes down to children just wanting to have their own way at times, and it's not necessarily because of the circumstances of at home. And as you speak on some of the reasons why children run away, at present at Community Relations Department, we are working on an initiative to be a virtual production where we would highlight some of the issues that cause children to run away from whether it's home or care facilities.
Okay.
As Mr. Richardson said, it may be the circumstances at home. Some children may be exposed to certain criminal acts, whether they are sexually abused or otherwise. But we also have, and from my observation and information from the Community Relations Department, in many of these cases, children are running away because, especially those who are placed in care institutions,
bad mind.
Yeah, they just want to have their own way.
Just want to have their own way.
Yeah, especially when you see to have certain activities coming up. And that is why sometimes the police would say to you, I remember we were heavy on that during the last carnival activity, celebration, we said to you, promoters and other entrepreneurs, that you should not encourage or you should not harbor children at your activities, because in most cases, children leave home without parental guidance, without parental approval,
have the knowledge that
without authorization. They would run away, and they would be at these activities. They are exposed at these activities. They can consume alcohol. Their drinks can be laced. They can receive marijuana and so that are mixed with other things, and that can be harmful to them. So we were really heavy on that because we saw some of the issues that came out from children who were exposed to adult activities, and it was not a very pleasant sight. So that is one of the causes as well.
Tell me, how is the process dealt with? Youngster run away, they happen to be found. How is that? How does the police or the officer deal with situations of that nature?
Well, the circumstances vary. For instance, so when we get a report of a runaway teen, the information will be channeled to the Community Relations Department. We get the consent, of course, of the parent or guardian to send out that information, to request assistance of the public, because that is the fastest way we get around to finding them. As soon as these images are posted, the information is posted on social media, we start receiving information. Oh, we saw them here, we saw them there. The particular location that they are seen or found, the police will be sent to that location. We will get that runaway teen and bring them into custody. If, for instance, that child is found in a position where they were being abused, or, for instance, that child is a minor and they were found in an adult's home, and you have evidence that that child was sexually exploited, for example, in many of the instances, the adults are charged. Sometimes I look at social media and you would see people saying, where were they found? Were they found with? But sometimes in an effort...
That information can be always given out.
We cannot always give out that information, because sometimes even if the child may have tendencies and they run away and so on, you still want to protect them, and protect the information, because sometimes knowing that a person was raped or a person was sexually abused, and you have that spreading all over, it can be sort of harmful and hurtful to that person. So sometimes we want to protect that child and protect them from wanting to probably harm themselves, because you would see that from time to time, children cut themselves, they do different things to themselves when they are under stress from some of the torture that they go through, the abuse that they face.
I'm assuming counseling is also offered to individuals.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The Child Protection Authority and the school attendance officers
we
are
have
also involved.
In every secondary school, there is an in-house resident counselor. At the primary school, we don't have much of that. So we have in every district, there is a roving counselor that would go to the different primary schools to provide these services to at-risk children.
Okay. No,
I must add, before we move on, that in some of the cases, based on the circumstances of the runaway and all of that, it's not every case that a child will be returned to home.
Okay.
Based on the circumstances, sometimes that child is placed in a care facility. It is removed from the parents' care, from the parents' custody, and is placed in a state facility until the entire matter is solved or sorted out.
And that is only for individuals who are in under school age?
Well, minors.
For minors. You know, sometimes I look at social media myself, and you will see someone pictures been posted, especially on social media, and they will come and talk about it. I was I don't miss it. You know, so that's why I ask, you know, somebody say, well, you know, I don't miss it. Why would they be setting out things and say I'm missing? And I'm assuming they're probably their parents or something says a level of concern. Haven't seen them for a couple of days, you know. So I'm assuming that's where the concern comes in, and then you see this person come on social media and complain and say, hey, why are you putting my picture up and say I'm missing? I'm not. You understand? Anyway, well, let's be. We all got. I'm seeing the phone are going, which means there are folks who want to chime in and ask a question or two. We drew for a break, but let's just entertain this one call and then we come back. We still have to speak about, you know, violence at school and stuff like that before we. Let's entertain this caller. Caller, good morning, welcome.
Good morning, GT, and morning to Mr. Richardson, and I didn't get the name of the lady, so good morning.
She's Corporal McLean.
A number of things that was said is right in line. But I want to emphasize the breakdown of community which contribute to me, a delinquent and a truancy society. Because a lot of us can be considered truant or delinquent in a lot of ways. So we need to find a way where we could at least make an effort and to establish some form of community. Too much selfishness, of course. We know where it came from 84. When all the institutions or structures that was there prior to the invasion was dismantled with the hope that you would get rid of communism. Now we have probably got rid of communism, but look what we're having. We're having disorder and decay. Over the years, I've told people, I can see the youngsters who are en route to the prison system because either they've been emasculated by their parents, particularly the mothers, and I have nothing against women. Unfortunately, they are left to the care of the children most of the time. So in terms of trying to cope, a lot of damage is done to the boys and to the girls also. So unless we find a way whether we could encourage one another and also support, we need a supportive society, not a handout society as we've been creating over the last many years, but a society that look out for each other. For instance, people are dying on their own right now. We don't need to have a society like that. And another thing again, I must point out in terms of contribute to delinquency and so on, the fact that people have to put up their children in daycare center at an early stage, and the carers are not necessarily trained in the way to really handle the children, are contributing it to the process also. And then on top of that, we try to pong into children's head and minds things that should be done in a later stage. So we creating dysfunctional being in this creatures in this, dysfunctional people. And so we need a collective and collaborative approach to this thing, because otherwise we'll be indeed a dysfunctional, delinquent, and the other words, which truant society. Thank you very much for indulgence. And Mr. Richardson, continue your good work. Bye.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution this morning. Anybody want to respond to anything the caller said that be of concern to you?
Well, as he rightly say, it takes a community to really raise a child. That's what we know before, but we are somewhat going out of that because you realize that in the not too distant time, we had parents coming to school and having conflict with teachers in the school, and that was a big thing. But that was not heard of in times gone by. But society changed, and these are some of the violence, as my colleague here said, that a grandmother give a knife to her grandchild to inflict a wound. So, and that grandparent might be a very young grandparent. It's not a grandparent of the grand. That's probably a 30-year-old grandparent. And these sorts of things is what is trending in society, and we need to get hold of it. As I said, the church has a part to play, and just about everyone. But I'm still happy that in Grenada, in certain communities, we can have persons calling in and give information for the good of the child. It's not they want to spoil the child or anything, but they are concerned about that child not getting the proper care that child should receive, so they would report it and see how the situation can be remedied.
All right. We will entertain another call. I mean, it would lead to a question that we're going to get into. We talk a bit, a conversation will lead to violence in school for we people. Let's entertain this caller. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, gentlemen. And how you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. Go right ahead with your contribution, please.
Okay, hear me out. The gentleman used a word a little while about parents coming to court for maintenance. But we have a big situation, not just the women bringing men to court. We have a situation of men manage kids, and these are the men that they take to court because they want a little more, because they want a party. Most of the time you see parents in the thing, if you go watch some of the parents on them, when Carnival comes around, they have the best costume, but they train home hungry. You understand? I have a situation in myself, personally talking about my child. Well, I made my children through the court house because of the same situation. And last week they had bingo, and I went to the stadium to boss a number, take up people and things. And I cannot believe I have my daughter, she's about just maybe 17 years. And the mother is a blind woman, she have a young baby in her car, together with the gentleman that drunk for himself. You understand? And they're selling alcohol. When I talk to them about it, the mother go to them and tell her, what do you can tell her, leave the child alone, she had to make you money. So you encourage him bad in the beginning. You understand what I'm saying? You have the child running away, sometimes they have to call me when the child run away. But when coming, I giving the child money, personally I feed them in the court, but still give them money. You understand? Just to make sure my children have it. But you have them in the stadium selling alcohol. And then you will say, oh, they see it all the time. So I think we had to study of the women. Some of the women and them, they don't care about the fathers. They care about themselves. And not even the kids they care about.
All right, caller. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution this morning. Thank you for your contribution. We should have taken a break, but we may have to forego on it because for time reasons. I'm not sure if anyone wants to respond to what the caller mentioned. It's what he said has any concern, maybe from the police point of view.
I don't know.
No.
Well, what he raised is of concern because I remember one time I'm at home, sometime after 10 in the night, and a goodly person called me and told me that a child, they now see a child down in one of the party places in the south. So I say to myself, what he expects of me 10 o'clock in the night to, I think in the first place, persons going to these places should have an ID card. And I mean, the security should say, well, all right, that person, and just call the police to pick them up because they are in the wrong place. They are not an adult, so they should not be here because we should all take care of the situation. And as you rightly said, a child selling alcohol, that is a no-no. I mean, probably he should go and make a complaint to the police because it's his daughter and get this practice, because that's not a good practice.
Yeah, all right, so do you understand? I want us to speak a wee bit on violence at school. Can we see it's a trend that has started to develop? Lately we've been hearing a lot of violence occurring at various schools. What does the police have to say pertaining to that, and you also from the ministry point of view?
Okay, so from the police point of view, we view that as a very disturbing trend. It is very concerning for us. In fact, that is one of the reasons why we have actually increased on the amount of initiatives and the frequency at which we visit the schools. And it is not only done in St. George's, it is done island-wide. Outside of school as well, we notice that violent activities occur. So sometimes, whether it's at the bus terminal in St. George's or at the bus terminal in Granville, or some of the areas that children congregate, we have the police presence there. We have the police to guide the children, to have them take their buses and all this. We're doing a lot from the police end, but of course we alone cannot do it. So we would ask the parents, and yes, we would reach out to parents via the PTA meetings and so on, and these mediums where we come on the media. Sometimes we don't reach the parents that we really need to reach, but we continue to implore upon parents that you are responsible for your children. You have to make the rules. You have to enforce the rules. So if school calls off at 2:30, your child should not be on the terminal at 4 o'clock when adults are leaving work to be competing with them to get a bus. You should have times for your children so that they should be home by a particular time, so that they would avoid all of these violent activities, all of this idle time that lead them to these delinquent behaviors. Even outside of the hotspots where children gather and so on, at the fort where I work, sometimes I'm just passing in the veranda and I would see children going beyond the fort, going to the Centennial Park, and they're in uniform. And I would have to say, here is out of bounds. You need to head to the terminal. You need to get a bus and go home. And it would be amazing. I am in my mind, I am thinking I could probably take some photos and send to the school, so the school could send it to the parents, because most of what the children do, parents are not aware.
So true.
Parents are not aware. A lot of the things that they do, it is done within the school hours or directly after school. And when you get home, you're my nice innocent child. You don't get involved in this. You don't get involved in that. And some parents will be shocked to know the kind of activities that their children are involved in.
Most children show a different approach when they're home.
Exactly. For instance, we just had the intercall concluded, and you had rules put in place by the Principals Association. You ought not to come to intercall with X, Y, and Z. Children violated these rules. And you would have parents quarreling, oh, my child left home with X, Y, and Z. But we had rules. So you need to teach children to follow the rules, and we would not have the issues of delinquency popping up, because children are just allowed to do whatever they want. You would have them resisting even the police. You have seen videos where they would fight back. Yes. We don't have this society again where you see children having that level of respect for authority, whether it's at the school or for members on the street, the police or security or any adult in society. They would talk back to you. They would tell you all sorts of things. And it is very concerning for us. And as a force, we take the necessary action. So if it amounts to a criminal offense, we charge. There are instances where we charge, or we can forward you to the Child Protection Authority if we know that the parents do not have that control over you. The Child Protection Authority could step in. The child could be removed from the home, placed elsewhere where they can receive counseling and other support to help them to improve in the situation that they're faced with.
No, we see a lot of repeat offenders, because you know youngsters get themselves into this problem once, twice. I mean, and we see the repeat. Is it because the whatever consequences that or penalties that were related to them maybe was not strong enough? We see the repeat offenders and that happening.
Well, you are correct, but also at the ministry end with the guidance counselors, you have conflict resolution. Now that is being taught. How you should, resolve conflict. But children probably, you teach them certain things, some would learn and some would not learn. But I know for sure that is one of the measures that the counselors use in the various schools. Okay, conflict management and how you should, resolve conflict. So on our part at the ministry, we are also promoting child-friendly school, and that would help, no bullying and things like that. So from our end, we are mitigating these sort of delinquent behavior through these methods.
But are you thinking the conflict resolution has been taught, do you think it's getting through to the youngsters because we've seen of those repeated offenses happening?
Well, learning takes time, and you do not expect, a bad behavior that is enforced at home or reinforced at home to just immediately go out the door. So we are trying our bit. The police is doing what they can, and as I said,
well, it has to be holistic in terms of the police,
right.
The Child Protection Authority,
the media,
the parents,
yes.
which also should play an important role in that also. Because
the icons in the community.
You understand?
Yeah.
So true. Let's entertain another caller. Caller, good morning, welcome.
Yes, GP, good morning, and good morning to the officers. I am very happy to have heard one of the gentlemen, I think it was Mr. Robinson, I'm not sure, spoke about the society bring the child and all the stakeholders, including the church. Let me tell you something. Nowadays, you have to leave the word church out. What the children need is knowledge of God, Bible knowledge. And don't believe some of this Bible knowledge is found in churches. Some of them don't have nothing to do with the Bible. They only call themselves church for other reasons. The children need Bible knowledge to know that they have a creator and what the creator can do in their lives if they establish a relationship with the creator. The parents and all people need that, because a lot of the children, one time I was down on Sunday bus stop by Food Fair, and I saw 3 little children. They crossed the road, and they came across, and it was a dangerous thing they did. So I called them, and I spoke to them about the way they cross the street. It's not the right way, and there is a pedestrian crossing. And I prayed with the children. And the little boy, there was 2 boys and a girl. The little boy said, "Miss, I feel something go when you're praying." And I was surprised because he recognized something left him. So sometimes these children are controlled by spirits, evil forces, and we ignoring these things, ignoring the spiritual aspect. We always jump in and talk about church. Nowadays, it's always a time with church. It's God and the Word of God. Because you go to church, sometimes you put yourself in the worst place. I mean, it's sad to say, but it's the truth. So the children need godly knowledge. In the force, I know you have Sergeant Richard, you have a number of Christian men in the force. And I think if they're calling the quote-unquote church or the families are not training the children in direction, the police department should have a department or area where they could give these children some Bible knowledge, consciousness of God, and let them know that they could depend on God, they could trust God, God could change their life, and things could happen. Recently, a young man who was in one of the homes, I think, he said God changed his life. He's going to the Happy Hill Secondary School, and he's doing so much better now than he used to be, not because of the home, but because of the godly counsel he got, and he accepted Christ, and his life was changed. This is what we have to emulate. This is what we have to start to do if we want to see a changed generation. We have to bring God into them, not religion, not denomination, not quote-unquote church. Because sometimes you go to church, you better you're sorry you go. And I'm saying this it's not a nice thing, but it is the truth. So we need God, and not religion. Have a blessed day, everybody.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution this morning. Anybody who wants to respond? Anything?
Well, I agree with the caller, and I am aware of some schools that have Bible studies and so on, and they are programs that involve children, involve students, so that they are steered away from delinquent behaviors. So whether they go to camps or they go to different visits and these sort of things that instill different behaviors in them, sort of instill that kind of spirituality in them, so that it can help them as well to stay away from these behaviors here.
All right. Another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Hi, good morning, and good morning to your 2 guests. There is a situation. I want to know what the police can do concerning that, or what anyone can do concerning it. Children, you send them to school. Sometimes you see them during the day, all 10, 11, you see them pulling bus door. That is one. Two, some of them drop out of school and people employ them because they find they're young and they could get they could get them to do what an eligible person for a job would do, but they will get the person who drop out of school to do it for less. What in terms could happen to that business place or the person involved or what have you? Now, it's unfortunate. I mean, sometimes you see children pulling bus door in their uniform, and your officers in the terminal, you see they won't even ask them, well, what are you doing out of school this hour in the day? I mean, it's unfortunate these things happening. I would like to get a feedback on that.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution this morning.
Yes, my brother. That's what we call child labor, and child labor have no place in our society. There's laws against such, and the school attendance officers normally have a lot of run-ins to do with persons who employ children, especially during school hours. Children could be employed, but not during school hours. So we normally go to some of those busmen and we speak to them and let them know the severity of what they are doing and the consequences that they can be faced with. Okay, a person employing an underage child during school hours could be fined somewhere in the vicinity of $2,500, or they can also face imprisonment, because even trade unions fight for what we would say child labor. There should not be any child labor. So you are correct, and I want to endorse that we should fight against such ills in our society.
All right. Is there any law that governs that, Constable McQueen?
Yeah, Mr. Richardson just spoke to it.
He spoke of it?
Yeah, he just spoke to it
right.
initially.
All right. Let's entertain another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome. Hello, good morning, caller. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. I want to make a comment.
Go right ahead, please. You're live.
Yes, I find that everybody is basing the child and the school. What about the home? What kind of parents we have in home? How strong is the parental influence on the child? I remember growing up, I'm an old lady now. But when my parents say you have to be home by a certain time, I have to be home. Because I know that they have parents who are parents. Not children who are parents. Parents who mean what they say and say what they mean. But nowadays they get in double signal. I'm going to beat you when you come home. When you go home, nothing happens. I'm going to not let you go to that party. You come home, they go on to the party. So what are we telling our children? We keep lambasting children, but they learn from us in society.
All right, thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution there. We're moving up just around 3 minutes left on today's program, and time flies.
Sure.
And certainly flies. I don't know if anybody have a summary for this morning. So in terms of bit of info, you want to tell parents, the listeners, the viewers out there, and any final bits and pieces before we take a wrap this morning.
Okay, I would like to let parents and the community know that any children that is within school age and you notice that they are not attending school, you can reach out to the Ministry of Education at 440-2737 and just give the information about the community and the student's name, and that would be sufficient for us to go and see how best we can get this child back to school so that they can be afforded with an education which is their privilege and rights. It's not a privilege, but their rights.
All right. Councilman McQueen?
Yes, so I just want to echo the sentiments of Mr. Richardson and encourage parents to ensure that their child's education is a priority. Work along with us because we are working in your child's best interest. We are not here to punish anybody. Of course, if it gets to that, then we do what we have to do. But our main aim is to ensure that our children receive the best education so that they can have a fitting future. So we just encourage parents to do your part, play your part, and the other parts of society, the other sectors of society, the police, the school attendance officers, the Child Protection Authority, the corporate citizens, of course, we go after them a lot, even from the police end. They assist us greatly. So when all these other elements come together, we can have children that would be beneficial to our society in the future. So we just want to encourage you to do the best for your child and for their future and in their best interest.
All right.
Yeah.
I want to thank you both for being here this morning. Very interesting conversation. I certainly hope the information showed up this morning. If there's a parent who is not doing what they're supposed to do, step up. Helping in terms of eliminating the truancy of in terms of their son or daughter's not attending. They may have a delinquent son or daughter who is not behaving the best way. Maybe they will try to get their assistance if they themselves cannot, do it. Because there are parents who can't talk to their son or daughter over there sometimes. True. You understand? Yes. And that son or daughter may feel, well, I can overpower my mom because she's the only one taking care of me and allows it to get out of hand. So I certainly hope the information over there and get the necessary help. Because sometimes the individual out there that just need the help. And sometimes, folks have their own self-pride and stuff. They don't ask right. And then we in the community see what is happening. And, so sometimes we could certainly offer the assistance also. I want to thank you both once again. I want to thank all who contributed to the program this morning, whether it's your calls, your messages. Thank you so much for being part of To The Point this morning. Join us again for another edition on tomorrow's program. Until then, have yourself a good day. As I always say, be good to yourself and others. Join us again for another edition of To The Point. Goodbye.